Yesterday, let's start by saying Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Yesterday we looked at imitation from the people of Kufa, and the majority of our sort of talking was about Muslim bin Aqil and how his death took place in Kufa. And today we are going to be starting the Battle of Karbala. So, let's get it.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. My dear respectful brothers, yesterday we discussed the invitation from the letters from the people of Kufa in regards to Imam Hussain radiallahu anhu, inviting him to come, and there were some issues which I wanted to clarify. Brother Mahmoud asked the age of Muslim bin Aqil. Now the thing is, I don't have access to my there's a book called Tahdhib al-Kamal which is 13 mine's 15 volumes, and each volume is like 800-900 pages, and it's what is Tahdhib al-Kamal is written by Imam al-Mizi rahmatullah alayh, and it's basically a biography of all the narrators in Kutub al-Sitta. So every single narrator in the 6 books of hadith, in these books under their name alphabetically from alif to the end, it gives you a biography of each one. The thing is, I don't have access to it, and I tried to search online because I know in Arabic they have some online searches you can do which they have Tahdhib al-Kamal, but it wasn't available. I came across one article, and again I can't confirm this, but I need to confirm it fully maybe another time when I go home and speak on the weekend. I can look through the book. He was about 35 to 38 years old. That's the narration. 35 to 38 years old. He was 23 years younger than Imam Hussain radiallahu anhu. Regarding Imam Hussain, he was not 57 exactly. Imam Hussain was born in the month of Sha'ban on the 4th of Hijri, the 4th year of the Hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ, and he passed away 61 after Hijri. So Imam Hussain comes to 56 years old, going into 57, because that was Muharram, the beginning. So that year in Sha'ban he would have been 57. Regarding yourself, Hafsab, the questions you asked, it was a valley called Al-Madih in Bayt. Madid, M-A-D-I-Q if you want to spell it, Bayt, K-H-U-B-A-Y-T. That is the place where Muslim bin Aqil found the water and found salvation. That is a village between Makkah and Medina. It's between Makkah and Medina Sharif. Regarding yourself, brother, the question you asked, the time to travel to Kufa, the distance to Kufa is 1,065 miles to leave from Makkah to Kufa directly. Imam Hussain left on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, and he arrives in Karbala towards not the 9th, he was there for a few days, the 3rd of Muharram. So we are looking over 25 days. That's 25 days distance of travel, but you're looking at a travel with women, children. So obviously a messenger would be much more quicker of traveling. So that's basically that. So I wanted to clarify and make sure we get the facts done, and we don't. Again, about Muslim bin Aqil, whether that age is exact or not, I will have to check Tahdhib al-Kamal when I get back home. I don't have it with me. Anyway, let's look at this. Imam Hussain radiallahu anhu is now leaving Makkah. On his journey to leave Makkah, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu comes to him. Abdullah ibn Abbas is his uncle or his cousin. In our culture, if your father has a first cousin, then he would really be your uncle. In the Arabs, they don't call it your uncle, they would just call it your cousin. That was the way they would call each other. Abdullah ibn Abbas is also known as one of the greatest explainers of the Quran, Mufassirin. One of his uniquenesses is that when during the time of Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, Sayyidina Umar wanted the elderly Sahaba to appreciate him a bit more because of age, obviously. So he gathered all the Sahaba together and he told all the Sahaba, why don't you explain to me إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ. This is Surah Nasr in the Quran towards the end. And all of the Sahaba then explained that this is a surah from the Quran in which Allah is giving glad tidings to the Muslims that Makkah will be liberated very soon. And each one gave that explanation. When the time came for Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he said, this is indicating, as all of the others have said, that Makkah would fall, Muslims would liberate it, but it also tells us the ending of the Prophet's life. The Prophet is returning to Allah. The mission has been completed. And when he said that, that's when Umar said, now we know what Abu Bakr was crying on that day. Because when إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, all the Sahaba were extremely happy because this was glad tidings that Makkah would become their city again. And only Abu Bakr from all of them radiallahu anhu was crying, and the narration says his beard was wet. And now Umar says, now we know why Abu Bakr was crying on that day. Because Abu Bakr then realized that this was the end of the message. The Prophet had fulfilled his message. He had purified the lands that he left. So this is who Ibn Abbas is. He has a thorough knowledge. Another unique quality of Ibn Abbas is all of the narrations about the way the Prophet used to pray in Tahajjud were narrated by Ibn Abbas. Because he used to pray with the Prophet ﷺ, and he used to observe the Prophet ﷺ. So he used to observe how the Prophet would stand, how long he would stand. So we are indebted to the narrations of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. And also he is amongst one of the fuqaha of the Sahaba. He is amongst those of the Sahaba. When we say fuqaha, we are not just referring to jurists, we are referring to their mujtahids. They have the highest form of Islamic scholarship. Mujtahid basically means in usul an imam who does his own ijtihad, his own reasoning. He doesn't rely on someone else's ijtihad. Umar was one of them, Ibn Mas'ud was one of them, Mu'adh bin Jabal was one of them, Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu, Sayyidina Ali, Khabab bin Arrat was one of the mujtahideen. These were the senior of the Sahaba who were the most senior in knowledge. So Ibn Abbas is not a small personality, he's a giant personality. Ibn Abbas comes to Imam Hussain and he tells Imam Hussain, he says, oh my cousin, and he enters into the gathering and he says, Salamu alaikum. He says, oh my cousin, I've heard news which disturbs me a lot. I've heard that you planned or you made a decision that you will travel to Kufa, to the Iraqis. He says, I beseech you, oh my nephew, in the name, or I beseech you, my cousin, in the name of Allah, not to trust the Iraqis. The Iraqis are not people to be trusted, they are treacherous people. Know what they did to your father, and know what they did to Imam al-Hassan. For Allah knows best that if you leave here, then there will be no salvation. Imam Hussain says to Abdullah ibn Abbas, I appreciate your advice. Abdullah ibn Abbas then says, that if you are deciding to go, let me ask you, or let me convince you, or try to convince you, why don't you go to Yemen? Go to Yemen, and if you go to Yemen, seek an army, and then go to Kufa. Another point which Ibn Abbas mentions, he says to Imam al-Hussain, are you going to Kufa? He said, yes. He says, have they disposed the governor? Is the governor still in his position? Imam Hussain said, yes. He says, don't go. He says, if they write to you and tell you that the governor has been disposed, and we have a new governor now, okay, and we are waiting for you to come to take that position, then only go to Kufa. If the circumstance comes that that position is not vacant, then do not go. I don't trust these people. Imam Hussain listened to the advice that Ibn Abbas gave. He then said to him, Ibn Abbas, that you should go to Yemen. He took that advice. The third and final advice Ibn Abbas gives to Imam Hussain before he leaves is, O Hussain, O son of Ali radiallahu anhu, O son of the Apostle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you are to travel to Kufa for whatever reason, do not take your family with you. Leave your women and leave your children in Makkah or Medina. Don't make them make this journey. For Allah, I feel that you wouldn't come back, and I feel the treachery of the people from al-Kufa. Imam Hussain listens to the advice that was given to him sincerely by Ibn Abbas, and he continues. Eventually Abdullah bin Zubair comes to him. Ibn Zubair, as all of you are aware, he's one of the second personalities that rose up against Yazid. He claimed, what does he say? He comes to Imam al-Hussain and he says, both you and me are the son of the Muhajirin. Meaning their fathers, Ali and Zubair, were amongst the early Muslims and from the Sahaba from Badr. He says, we have more right over this leadership than Banu Umayyah. You know that very clear. We have more right to it. Imam Hussain then says to him that I received multiple letters. One narration says, whether it's authentic or not is another question, that up to 12,000 letters. And Imam Hussain then begins to show the letters to Ibn Zubair. Ibn Zubair then says what? He says to Imam Hussain, Wallahi, if I was you and I had such following, I would go to Kufa. Imam Hussain now smiles. And one of the reasons he smiles is why? Is because the narration says that one of the reasons why Ibn Zubair says that is simply because he knows as long as Imam Hussain is in Mecca, no one will give him the allegiance. He's irrelevant. Before he comes to Mecca, Az-Zubair has a lot of respect. Az-Zubair is listened to. Ibn Zubair, people are visiting him. People want his advice. The moment Imam Hussain comes in the picture, he's irrelevant. People forget him. People abandon sitting with him. And all of them are going every night, every day to sit in the majlis of Imam Hussain. Ibn Zubair realized, and he said that if Hussain is still in Mecca, no one will give me the allegiance. When he leaves the gathering, Imam Hussain smiles and says, wouldn't it please him if I left Mecca? For he knows everyone will give him support. But as long as I'm in Mecca, no one will support him. Imam Hussain says, Wallahi, these are those people that even if I was in a hole of a snake, they would still pull me out of it. They wouldn't leave me alone. That is the analogy Imam Hussain gives. Imam Hussain ignores the point. In the evening, Abdullah ibn Abbas comes again to Imam Hussain. This is the concern Ibn Abbas has. One of the reasons why, as I read to you the letter, you remember when I read the letter to you in regards to the message from Ibn Abbas to Yazid, when Yazid said and heard that he never gave bay'ah to Ibn Zubair, and Ibn Abbas RadiAllahu Anhu writes back and says, how can I appreciate you or support you when your soul still has the blood of my relatives? Because Ibn Abbas is from Banu Hashim. He's from the Ahlul Bayt of the Prophet. Ibn Abbas then sits in front of Imam al-Hussain and he begs Imam al-Hussain. He says to Imam Hussain, I'm telling you, don't travel to Kufa. I'm advising you, don't go to these treacherous people. Don't visit them. Don't give them any concern. They are people who are not people of their word. Imam Hussain doesn't listen. Imam Hussain now leaves Makkah. Amr bin Sa'ad, who is the governor of Makkah, finds out that Imam al-Hussain is attempting to leave. He was told and he was ordered to apprehend Hussain and not to allow him to travel to Kufa by Yazid, but do not harm him. That was the message. He comes and he sends an army of about 40, one narration says 80 people, to try to stop Imam al-Hussain leaving Makkah. Eventually there's a tussle between them. There is a fight. Eventually Imam al-Hussain become victorious over them. No one is killed and they leave. Now what is the reason why this is unique? These days, or the days that Imam al-Hussain leaves Makkah, is the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. Why is it that Imam al-Hussain is leaving Makkah? Ibn Zubair is saying to him, Ibn Abbas is saying to him, if you stay in Makkah, people will come to you. This is a place that guarantees your safety in Makkah. Why do you want to leave it? Even Ibn Zubair at the end, even though he knew that no one would give him the support if Hussain was still in Mecca, even he says, I will give allegiance to you. I will give that. This is, even though he had his own endeavors, but when it came to the core sacrifice, Ibn Zubair was with Hussein. He says, I'm willing to give you the bay'ah, the allegiance. You stay in Makkah, let the people come. Imam Hussain says, I don't want to be that person. When my father said to me, Ali said there will be a man. He said exactly, he says there will be in Makkah a lamb. He gave the analogy of a lamb. And that lamb will cause the sanctity. He will violate the sanctity of the haram. Imam Hussain says, I don't want to be that kind of lamb. I don't want the haram to be violated. I don't want fighting to happen in haram. Why? Because Sayyidina Ali narrated a hadith which directly came to the Prophet ﷺ, in which the Prophet said there will come a time when there will be a lamb, referring to a leader, who will violate the sanctity of Makkah. Imam Hussain says, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the person who violates this. And he leaves. Imam Hussain goes towards the northwest of Makkah. And he travels and he meets the very famous poet called Farazdak bin Ghalib. Farazdak is extremely famous. For those who study Arabic language will know who he is. His name was Hammam bin Ghalib, and he died in 110 after Hijri. He's an extremely famous poet, and he's an extremely famous scholar of the Arabic language. Faraz bin Ghalib sees Imam Hussain, and he goes to Imam Hussain and he says to him, O son of the Prophet. One narration. The second narration, he says, O son of the daughter of the Prophet. He says, may I be sacrificed upon you. And Imam Hussain says, who are you? And he tells Imam Hussain who he is. Imam Hussain says, where are you from? And he tells him, I'm from such a place. Imam Hussain says, what is the news of the Kufa? What news do you have? Because you come from there. And this is the message that Farzaq gives. He says, O Imam, O son of the Prophet, I speak truthfully to you without violating my trust with Allah. He says, I swear to you by Allah that the people's heart is with you. The people's heart is with you, but their sword is not with you. Their sword is with the leaders. Much bribery has been given. And if it comes to fighting, if it comes to a point that you will have to fight, he says, I swear by Allah that they will not support you. They will be your enemies. Those people who call you will fight you. And they will not support you. Imam Hussain says, subhanallah, whatever is the will of Allah. Whatever is the will. Now this reply that Imam Hussain gives is quite strange. And it really sends this doubt in you. On one hand, Imam Hussain has the letters. Secondly, we learn the news from Kufa. He gets the letter from Muslim bin Aqil that the people are ready for him. Thirdly, Imam Hussain knows that they are treacherous people. Why does he still leave? Why does he still, and why is he still adamant that he has to leave, that he has to go out, that he has to go towards Kufa? Because we know that Imam Hussain was an extremely intelligent person. He wasn't your average person. His intellect, his wisdom, his speaking, his sitting, his analyzation, his analyzing and evaluation of a reality was far beyond people. Imam Hussain could sit in a majlis and just look at people, and he could say, and he would just come out with some wisdom that even the Sahaba wouldn't know. Why? Because one of the qualities of the Ahlul Bayt is the knowledge that they granted. Meaning the knowledge that Sayyidina Ali has. Sayyidina Ali said, I learned 1,000 knowledges from the Prophet. Over 1,000 one narration says. That knowledge is not limited. That knowledge was then given to Imam Hassan. It was given to Imam Hussain. So Imam Hussain was extremely learned. Number two, Imam Hussain, the people that serve him are the angels. Jibreel is at his service. The angels are, and Imam Hussain is a person who sees the angels. He's a person that sees miraculous things. But why is it that still Imam Hussain is adamant? And why is it that he's still adamant to leave? Abdullah bin Ja'far bin Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. Who is he? Abdullah bin Ja'far is the cousin of Imam Hussain. He is the son of the elder brother of Sayyidina Ali, Ja'far. He is married to Zainab, Imam Hussein's sister. And he had two sons called Muhammad and Un. He sends both sons and he writes a letter. He says to the son, send and write to Hussein, your uncle, give him this letter. When they arrive at where Imam Hussain is, they give the letter to Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain reads the letter, but he takes no notice of the letter. The letter, Imam Abdullah bin Ja'far is begging Imam. He says, oh my cousin, I'm begging you, don't go towards Iraq. If you are killed, he says, who will we look to? Who will we need? Who will guide us? He says, if you are killed by these enemies of Allah, he says, Allah's blessings on the earth will come to an end. And he's trying to say to his cousin that by you going, the future of the Ahlul Bayt is at stake. Imam Hussain takes no notice. Abdullah bin Ja'far then, he rushes to Makkah and he goes to Umar bin Sa'ad, the governor. He says to Umar bin Sa'ad, the governor, Hussein has left. What I need from you is to guarantee him safety. I need you to guarantee him safety. Place. Abdullah Amr bin Sa'ad says, what do you require? He says, I want you to write a letter to Hussein from you, guaranteeing him that if he comes back, him, his family, his property, his honor will not be affected, and you guarantee the safety. Amr bin Sa'ad says, fine, I will do this. He says to Abdullah bin Ja'far, you write the letter, bring the letter back to me, I will sign it. He writes the letter, he gives it to Amr bin Sa'ad, Amr bin Sa'ad seals it, and then Amr bin Sa'ad says, do you want to take it? He says, no, I will take it, Abdullah bin Ja'far. But he says, also ask who? Ask your brother to also take this letter. Ask your brother, and his brother was called Yahya bin Sa'id or Sa'ad. He says, ask your brother, and both of us will travel, and both of us will go to Imam Hussain. Eventually they run and they rush and they come to Imam Hussain. And they come to Imam Hussain just before a place called Batna Rumma, which is a place on the road towards Iraq. When they enter to Imam Hussain, Abdullah bin Ja'far comes, he hugs Imam Hussain. One narration says he kisses him on the head. One narration says he kissed his feet. One narration says he kissed his hand. He was extremely happy to see his cousin, because Imam Hussain was not only his cousin, he was his spiritual head. He was the head of the family. He was a religious guide for them. He was the reason for them to live. He goes to Imam Hussain and says, this is Yahya, the brother of the governor. He has a letter for you. Imam Hussain opens the letter. He reads the letter, the content, guaranteeing him safety. Imam Hussain puts the letter to his side. He says to Abdullah bin Ja'far, I can't take it. I can't go back. I cannot go back. Ja'far says, I plead with you, Imam. These people are treacherous people. They will kill you. He says they will not leave anything. They will murder you. You know what type of people the Kufans are. Now look at the reply from Imam Hussain. Why is Imam Hussain so adamant to go to Kufa? He knows the reality. He's an intelligent person. Many people say, Ibn Khaldun says this, A'udhu Billah, in his Muqaddimah, Ibn Khaldun said Hussain made a mistake. And that doesn't make sense to me as a person. Why? Hussain is born in the house of Fatima to Zahra. He's born in the house of Wahi, revelation. His family members are the most senior and the most effective and the most knowledgeable of people. His father is Ali, his brother is Hassan, his uncle is Hamza, his uncle is Ja'far, his mother is Fatima, his grandfather is Rasulullah, his grandmother is Khadija. May Allah be pleased with all Ridwan, Allahumma alayhim ajma'in. But why is Imam Hussain still adamant to go Kufa? Because Imam Hussain has information they do not have. Hussain has information that Ibn Abbas doesn't have, that Ibn Zubair doesn't have, Abdullah bin Muti doesn't have, Al-Farzaq doesn't have. All the people don't have that. What is that information? Imam Hussain says, I had a dream. I had a dream and I was given an order by my grandfather. I had a dream and I was given an order by my grandfather. Whether I will benefit or not, I have to obey the order of my grandfather. He says, I don't know what's going to happen when I go Kufa. He says, I know that they are treacherous people. I know that they are two-faced people. I know that they will not support me. I know that I may die. I know my family may die. I know my family may be humiliated. But I have to go. Why? Because Rasulullah ordered me to go. That is the difference, my brothers. Imam Hussain is going to Kufa and Karbala. His destination wasn't Karbala. His destination was Kufa. He went towards Kufa because they did not see something. And when he says this, Abdullah bin Ja'far says, may my mother and father be a ransom for you, O Hussein. He says, I leave you two of my sons. I cannot come. And many narrations says he had many responsibilities. He says, my wife, your sister is with you. He says, I leave two of my sons, Aun and Muhammad. He turns to his sons and he says, I tell you by Allah, you go with your uncle, fight with your uncle, and even if it means dying, you die for your uncle. But do not go back, do not show any form of scaredness. Stand firm on the battlefield if you have to fight. Defend Hussein, and defend him because you are not defending him, you are defending the religion of Rasulullah. He said, if I hear and I see that you come back, I don't want to know you. You can imagine a father saying that to his two sons. Imagine having a wife like Zainab, subhanAllah. You know, and Zainab is going with her brother. Which husband will allow his wife to come under danger? Which father says to his two sons, your children are the most beloved things to you? And who would say to their own sons, no, go, sacrifice your life for Hussein? This concept of the love of Islam was re-evaluated in these people. And if you study these people's life and the sacrifices they make, the conclusion that you come to is the greatness of these people is based upon what? Was based upon that concept that there is no life and there is no purpose to live without the living of Hussein. What these people were saying was that we have no life without you, Hussein. So if it means that you die, we don't want to live. We prefer to die in front of you, to defend you, to honor you, rather than being people who are cowards who come back. Imam Hussain had a brother called Muhammad bin Hanfiya. He never went. He stayed in Makkah. One narration says he stayed in Medina. Allah only chose certain people to travel with Imam Hussain. And what was that to show? The loyalty of blood. The message that you learn from Karbala and from the life of Imam Hussain is what? Loyalty. That loyalty that his blood had with him. May Allah give us cousins like Hussain. Really, that's what you call a cousin, like Abdullah bin Ja'far. Not nowadays. Cousins don't speak to each other now. They're enemies of each other because of land or whatever. A real cousin is someone like Abdullah bin Ja'far. A real cousin are people like Muslim bin Aqil. These people who are willing to sacrifice their life. Imam Hussain continues to move and he comes to a place called Al-Batn al-Rumma. This is on the way towards Iraq. Imam Hussain then sends his messenger called Qais bin Mashir. He says to Qais, take this message, travel to Kufa at a great speed. Tell the Kufan people Hussain is coming. When he goes, Ibn Ziyad, what does Ibn Ziyad do? Ibn Ziyad then basically what does he do? He puts patrol or police on every exit entering into Kufa and leaving Kufa, and the same with Basra. When he enters into Kufa, the guards apprehend him. Who is the guard that apprehended him? The head of the police was a guy called Hussein bin Tamim. Hussein bin Tamim from Banu Tamim. He was the head of police for Ibn Ziyad. They apprehend him and they take him to Ibn Ziyad. When Qais enters into Ibn Ziyad, look at the iman of this man. This is only a messenger. And you remember in the old days, you under no circumstance kill each other's messengers. One of the conditions of diplomacy was that if a messenger was sent, you never kill him. By killing him is an announcement of war on another person or nation. Ibn Ziyad reads a letter of what Qais has, and he says, oh, you bought this for the people? He says, let me do this for you, Qais. He says, stand up on the mimbar here in front of the people. The people were gathered in the masjid. One narration said he did it in his house. He says, get up on the mimbar. If you get up on the mimbar and you curse Hussein, and you curse Sayyidina Ali, and the supporters of Hussein, he says, I will spare you your life. I will spare you your life. This is Azima. Remember when we discussed Ruqsa and Azima? When you are in a circumstance, you are allowed to do that. Al-Qais gets up on the mimbar. Narration. Second narration is he's on a high platform in the palace. He gets up and Al-Qais is looking at the people. What does he say? Or what can he say? Either he can turn around and curse these people, but Al-Qais is a lover of the Ahlul Bayt. Al-Qais is a supporter of the Ahlul Bayt. Al-Qais says, I would prefer to die than these words ever uttered from my mouth. He gets up on the bed and says, oh, I am Qais, I am the messenger from Hussein, the son of the daughter of the Prophet. He says, I swear to you by Allah, Hussein is on his way. And remember your rights to Hussein. He is the son of the Prophet. He is the leader of all the youth in Jannah. He says, may Allah's la'na, may Allah's curse be upon Ibn Ziyad. For he is the son of Sumayya. And Sumayya is a prostitute, he said. He's insulting Ibn Ziyad's grandmother. He says, may Allah's la'na be upon him. May Allah's curse be upon him. He says, may Allah reward Hussein. For Hussein is the son of Fatima. And he is the son of Ali. And I believe in the religion of Ali. I believe in the religion of Ali. No compromise. When Ibn Ziyad hears this, Ibn Ziyad says, kill him. They cut his head off. And what did they do? They take his body to the rubbish area in Kufa, which at that time Ibn Jarir al-Tabari says, at this moment it is the place where they could meet. Okay? But at that time it was the place where it was rubbish. And they throw his body there, one narration. The second narration said they crucify him. A third narration said they burn him. A fourth narration says they take his body by his legs and they take him all around Kufa, announcing this is what happens to the traitors of the state. Think about the abuse that happened. But Qais is a man who even in that state he died on the love of Sayyidina Ali. He died on the love of the Ahlul Bayt. He was saying that yes, I can say I hate Ali, I can curse Ali, and Allah will forgive me. But he says, how will I put this face? How will I show my face to Rasulullah? How can I go back to Hussein and say that you sent a message and what did I do? I cursed your father. He says, I prefer to have my head chopped off. I prefer to have all of my body cut into pieces than taking on the challenge of Hussein. Or taking on the challenge, of Ibn Ziyad. Al-Hussein radiyallahu ta'ala anhu warda. After sending Qais, Imam al-Hussein then sends a person called Abdullah bin Bakr. He then also takes a message to the people. Imam Hussein continues the journey. Remember, at this journey, Imam Hussein does not know that Muslim bin Aqil has been killed, his cousin. He only has the letter from Muslim bin Aqil saying, hurry, come quickly to Kufa. The people are ready for you. Imam Hussein comes to a place called Tha'labiyya. Tha'labiyya is a major part or place where people would stop pilgrimage, or pilgrims would stop at that place. It was a known place. When Imam Hussein stops there, Imam Hussein sees two people. One narration says. Another narration says that there were two people from the tribe of Asad, Banu Asad, that was traveling with Imam Hussein at the same time. What they were doing is they were keeping a distance from Imam Hussein, and their objective was to see what would happen and then make a decision. These people see a man coming from Kufa. Imam Hussein wants to speak to the person. The person ignored Hussein. Eventually these two people ran to him and said, oh, where are you from? They said, he said, I'm from Banu Asad. They said, we are from Banu Asad too. From what is your lineage? He gave the lineage, they gave the lineage. They said, tell us, what is the situation in Kufa like? He says, I only left Kufa yesterday. Both Muslim bin Aqil and Hani bin Urwa have been killed. Hani bin Urwa and Muslim bin Aqil radiyallahu anhu have both been killed. that have been killed by Ibn Ziyad. The people are all against Hussein, and he leaves. This person then runs, and he runs to Imam Hussein, and he eventually catches up Imam Hussein in the evening. Imam Hussein spent the night in Thalabiya by evening. He goes to Imam Hussein and he says, "Oh Hussein, I have a message for you. Do you remember the man that came and ignored you?" Imam Hussein said, "Yes, we wanted to seek his advice and his news." He said, "We did the job for you." He says to Imam Hussein, "Look at the wisdom of these people." He says, "Do you want us to tell you the news now? Or do you want to tell us, or do you want us to inform you of the information or news privately?" Look at Hussein. Imam Hussein is not a person of privacy. He turns and says, "There's no secret between me and my companions. Between me and my people and my followers, and my students, and my nephews, and my nieces, and my wife, and my daughters, there's no secret. Speak what you have." He says, "We learned that Muslim bin Aqil has been shaheed. Muslim bin Aqil has been..." And Imam Hussein begins to cry. And Hussein says 7 times, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi." He says, "Oh Allah, have mercy." And he puts his hands on this dua. He says, "Oh Allah, have mercy on this man. For I sent him to these people and these wretched people." He said, "Oh Allah, punish these people for what they have done to the family of your Prophet." He said, "Oh Allah, bear witness that he is from the trustworthy people." When he says this, there is one narration mentioned which many people quote, which says that Imam Hussein had doubt now and he wanted to go back. This narration is a weak narration based upon 2 of the narrators in that narration, which have been rejected by Ibn Kathir. The real authentic narration which Ibn Athir mentions in Tariq al-Dimishqi, Ibn Athir mentions and says that the 2 sons of Muslim bin Aqil arise and say what? They say, "Ya, O Imam Hussein, we will not go back, we will seek the revenge from our father. We want to go forward." Imam Hussein turns around to his nephews and says, "Wallahi, there is no life without you. There is no purpose of living without you." He says, "Let us continue and let us move." Imam Hussein now continues on this journey until he gets to a place called Zubala. Zubala is a place towards nowadays the border between Saudi and Iraq. And Zubala right now, if you look at Zubala on the map, it's identical towards the place of Kuwait, and the UAE has a road that goes towards them. It's a famous place even now in Arabia. When Imam Hussein arrives in Zubala, he then receives the letter and information that both of his messengers have been killed. The messengers that he sent, Qais and Abdullah, both have been murdered by Ibn Ziyad. Imam Hussein is extremely upset now, and he sits amongst his followers, because what did Ibn Ziyad do? He appointed and he put barracks or barricade every road in and outside of Kufa. The objective is to stop Imam Hussein entering into Kufa. They didn't want a disloyalty. Imam Hussein sits, and remember, by this time and this journey, many people have joined the journey with Imam Hussein. Many people have joined this mission because they thought what? Imam Hussein will come to Kufa and he will be victorious. Imam Hussein sits with the people and he speaks to them and tells them what's happened to Qais and Abdullah. He tells them that Kufa have abandoned us, and I'm scared that if I go there, the only thing that they would want would be my blood. The only thing that they would want would be my blood. When Imam Hussein says this, he turns, look how just Imam Hussein is. Imam Hussein is not an unjust person. People who have armies, when they see a situation which is detrimental to them and their supporters, they hide it behind or underneath the carpet. Remember the issue when Amr bin As said to Muawiyah at the Battle of Siffin, when Amr bin Yasir was murdered, killed, RadiAllahu Anhu warda, or we have just killed that person who the Prophet said the sinners would kill him. Imam Hussein doesn't behave in such a manner. Imam Hussein says, this is the reality. If any of you want to leave, you may leave now. And wallahi, I will not hold any grudge against him. Every single person left him. Every single person left Imam Hussain, apart from the people that left with Imam Hussain from Makkah Sharif. That's what you call loyalty. These were people that joined Imam Hussain for dunya. When the crunch came, the real battle came, every single one of them left Imam Hussain, until Imam Hussain was only with the people that he himself left from Makkah when he left to go toward this place. Imam Hussain then continues. Ibn Ziyad then sends a man by the name of Hussain bin Tamim. Hussain bin Tamim is one of the senior head of police, and he holds a high position within the administration of Ibn Ziyad. And he is one of the people that played a key role in the fight against Imam Hussain on the Bayt of Karbala. A'udhu billah. This is an evil man. Imam Hussain continues the journey until he comes to a place called Sharaf. He then passes this place called Sharaf, and he continues journeying until one of the people with him, until one of his students and one of the people with him shouts, Allahu Akbar. When Imam Hussain hears the takbir, he turns to the person and says, Allahu Akbar. Imam Hussain then says to him, why have you said Allahu Akbar? What is the reason for saying Allah is the greatest? He says, I said Allah is the greatest because we make this journey very regularly. We know this road like the back of our hand. He said, that place we saw palm trees, and we never saw palm trees before. We saw palm trees, but we never saw them. Imam Hussain says, look carefully, look more closer. When they look closer, Imam Hussain says, what do you see? They said, we see silver, and we see horse cavalry. We see silver and the cavalry of horses. Imam Hussain says, that is not palm trees, that is the enemy coming to kill us. That is the enemy coming to stop us, to enter into Kufa. Imam Hussain says, the best option we have is we want to be in such a strategical place that if we have to fight, we fight them face to face. And they have no opportunity to attack us from the side or from behind us. Imam Hussain sees a place, his advisor said, this is a place that we can come. Imam Hussain runs there. Imam then sets his tent there, and they are ready to fight. They get ready to fight this cavalry. This cavalry is headed by a guy called, he's an amazing man. Wallahi, you will learn later how great this man is. Hur bin Yazeed RadiAllahu Anhu. Hur bin Yazeed is the head of this army that is going to fight Hussain. But Hur bin Yazeed is that one who then becomes the supporter of Imam Hussain. He is the head of 1,000 soldiers on a horse that was sent by Ibn Ziyad. What is his job? His job is what? Don't let Hussain enter Kufa. Do not let him go back to Medina. And do not even let him go to Syria. Just keep him where he is in an open land until you receive instructions from us. Hur bin Yazeed comes and he's now face to face. He's face to face with Imam Hussain. On one side is Imam Hussain, opposite him is 1,000 men, cavalry, fully equipped, fully armored. And this is in the place called Dhul Salam. Imam Hussain looks at the people, and then he looks at the time, and it's the time of Salat al-Dhuhr. Imam Hussain says, give the adhan. They give the adhan. Imam Hussain says, give the iqamah. They give the iqamah. Imam Hussain now comes. Imam Hussain comes, and before he's going to pray, he looks to Hur bin Yazeed and says, do you want to lead your people in salah and we will lead our people? Some people say to us, fulan bande ke piche namaz kyun nahi padhte? Imam Hussain does not will and is not willing to pray salah behind those people he thought were deviant people. We follow the sunnah of Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain turns and says to the person, Hur bin Yazeed, do you want to lead your people in prayer? Hur bin Yazeed turns around and says, no, we will pray behind you. We will pray. Look, the enemy, they've come to stop Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain leads the prayer. After the prayer, Imam Hussain leaves and he goes back to his tent. And then the Asr time comes. Salatul Asr comes. Imam Hussain comes out when the Iqamah said. And just before the Fard prayer, Imam Hussain stands and he looks at Hur bin Yazid. And he looks at the people. He says, oh Hur bin Yazid, oh people. He doesn't know who he is at this time. He says, oh people, oh Muslims, know that I am from the family of the Prophet. He says, I am the son of Fatima Zahra. Do any of you deny who I am? He says, be careful the way you treat me. He's trying to save the Iman even in this circumstance. Imam Hussain, until the moment he dies, until the moment he's martyred, until the moment his ruh leaves his honorable body, even at that moment, Imam Hussain is trying to remind them, fear Allah, don't do this. Because the journey that you are on, what you are attempting to do, you will never enter into Jannah. Hellfire will be your abode forever. Imam Hussain turns to them and says to them, did you not send these letters to me? Did you not invite me to come to Kufa? I have come and this is the way you treat me. Hur bin Yazid said, I swear by Allah, we know nothing about these letters of Hussain. Imam Hussain then gives an indication and says, bring out the two letters. Bring out the two banks. And they show Hur bin Yazid all the letters. He says, these are the letters I received. These are the letters you sent. Hur bin Yazid then says what? Imam Hussain then prays the Asr prayer. After the Asr prayer, Imam Hussain gives the announcement and says to the people, rise, we are leaving. We are continuing our journey. When Imam Hussain attempts to continue, Hur bin Yazid stops him. Imam Hussain is angry. He said, may Allah deprive you of your mother. May Allah deprive your mother of you, he said. Hur bin Yazid says, Wallahi, if anyone said that to me apart from you, I would kill him. And if anyone said that to me, I would repeat the same words to you, but I won't say to you because we know who Fatima Zahra is. Beautiful. He said, we will not say that. I will not repeat the same words to say to you. Why? Because we know who Fatima Zahra Salamullah alayha is. Hur bin Yazid. This is the Iman of Hur bin Yazid. He's changing to such an extent that when it comes to the battle of Karbala, Hur bin Yazid is on the front line of Hussain. Hur bin Yazid is the one who sacrifices his life and dies. He's a lion and he is known as a fighter. At this moment he is not a supporter. He is what? An enemy. Hur bin Yazid says, oh Hussain, I cannot allow you to do this. Wallahi, I follow orders. I've been given orders. Imam Hussain then continues marching away from Kufa, because Kufa was towards the right. He now goes towards the left, a left road, which is a road that goes towards what? Towards Syria. And this goes towards Nineveh. Nineveh is the area where Karbala is. That area is called Nineveh. Imam Hussain continues and they arrive at a place called Nineveh, an open place which is contemporary called Karbala. Hur receives a letter from Ibn Ziyad, and the letter says from Ibn Ziyad, he says, make sure Al-Hussein and his followers are not near any mountain. Make sure you apprehend them in such a place that has no water, has no access to water, and it is an open land, open field, open plain land. Don't allow him to be near any village. Ibn Ziyad at this moment is plotting and planning the murder of Hussain and the Ahlul Bayt at this moment. So this is what he does. Imam Hussain then says what? Imam Hussain, when he sees the situation of what they've done, his advisors turned to him and said to Imam Hussain, we should attack now. There's only 1,000 of them. If we kill them now, it is better for Allah. Tomorrow more soldiers will come to fight us. Maybe more will come. Imam Hussain says, I will not do this. I will not strike at any Muslim. I will not violate the rights of other Muslims. We will only defend ourselves. Look Even in that state, Imam Hussain, look at the value that he has for the sanctity of life. Even the life of the enemies, Imam Hussain believes has sanctity. And what happens when Imam Hussain sees this situation and sees what's happened? Hur bin Yazeed is there on the 3rd of Muharram. On the 3rd of Muharram, Umar bin Sa'ad bin Abi Waqas, one of the governors of one of the villages which is near contemporary Tehran, where Tehran is now, there's a city there called Ray. He was a governor. Ibn Ziyad calls him and says to him, take 4,000 soldiers and go to Hussein and make him give the bay'ah to me on behalf of Yazeed. Umar bin Sa'ad then comes to Imam al-Hussein with 4,000 men. So that's 5,000 soldiers are there. 1,000 horsemen and 4,000 soldiers, foot soldiers are there that actually come forward towards that area. The scenario to explain to you, because I don't have a board here or projector to show you. This is like the platform. Okay, let's call this is the platform. An open area. Here is the river, the water. Okay? On this side it is the water. Here is the 1,000 men standing, preventing Imam Hussain to get to the water. Al-Hussain RadiAllahu Anhu and his people are gathered here. 4,000 people come and they make 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 4 positions covering like a semicircle, you know, from around. One on the right, one in the middle, one on the left and one on the left. You understand? So they're covering the whole area. Behind them, or behind this area, is 1,000 men now. How many? 1,000 men. So they avoid and they stop what? They stop Imam Hussain getting there. Umar bin Sa'ad bin Abi Waqas then writes and sends his advisor or one of the people with him to meet Imam al-Hussain and to speak to him. When he comes back, Umar bin Sa'ad himself goes to Imam al-Hussain radiallahu anhu. When he goes to Imam al-Hussain, he enters in and both are sitting together. He says to Imam al-Hussain, why have you come? What is the purpose of you coming here? Imam Hussain says, I've only come. Why? Because you invited me to come to this place. You invited me and now you are going to violate us and you will not allow us to go back. You will not allow us to go to Syria. You will not allow us to even go to Kufa. You are stopping us. Umar bin Sa'ad says, I know nothing about these letters. Imam Hussain then says, fine. Umar bin Sa'ad then says, will you give the bay'ah to Yazeed? Will you give allegiance to Ibn Ziyad? Imam Hussain says, I will never give bay'ah. Imam Hussain says, I will never give my allegiance. I will never give my hand in the hand of a tyrant. One narration says here that Imam Hussain was willing to give the allegiance to Yazeed. And Imam Hussain then said, let me go to Syria. That really contradicts what Imam Hussain stood for. It doesn't make sense. Why would Imam Hussain, if Imam Hussain is willing to give bay'ah to Yazeed, why doesn't he agree to go to Ibn Ziyad then? Give the allegiance to Ibn Ziyad and then go back to Medina. It clearly shows that that narration has no substantiation and has no value and has no authority to make such an assumption. Imam Hussain refuses. Umar bin Sa'ad writes a letter to Ibn Ziyad now and tells Ibn Ziyad that now we are across each other. We have stopped Imam Hussain. Hussain is trapped in an open land. We have refused him to do this. Ibn Ziyad then says to him, at this moment, or during this time, remember, they did not stop Imam Hussain getting to the water at that time. At that time, they were able to. Ibn Ziyad writes a letter now. He writes a letter to Umar bin Sa'ad and says, send 500 men. Take 500 men. And under no circumstance are you allowed to allow Hussain or his family or his followers to get water. He says, do not give them a sip of water, a drop of water, like water was refused to Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu. The funny thing was, these people like Ibn Ziyad thought that they were fighting for Uthman radiallahu anhu, that they were revenging his blood, that they were inheritors, that they were his supporters. They had nothing to do with Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. This letter got to Umar bin Sa'd on the 7th of Muharram. And he sent what? He sent 500 people and he stopped 500 people here. Imam Hussain then sends 20 people to attempt to do what? To get water. They stop them. When they come back to Imam Hussain, they inform Hussain of the situation. Imam Hussain then says, let me meet with Umar bin Sa'd. He sits with Umar bin Sa'd and he has a discussion. He says, oh Umar, why don't you join me? Umar bin Sa'd says, what? He says, if I join you, my house will be destroyed. Hussain says, I'll give you a great house. He says, my house will be destroyed. Imam Hussain says, I'll give you a better house in Hijaz. I will give you one of the houses of my grandfathers. Are you willing to take that? He says, no. He said, if I do, he says, I will lose my treasury. I will lose my money. Hussain says, I will give you treasury more greater than what you have. But join us. You are from Al-Quraysh. We are Quraysh. You are from the family of Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas. He is from our family. We are relatives from each other. How can you fight and violate me? Umar bin Sa'd says, he makes excuses. Imam Hussain realizes that this man's heart is closed. Whatever he says, whatever he offers. Imam Hussain then says, I offer you 3 things. Write to the governor and ask him 3 things. Number 1, let me go to Kufa. If not, let me go to Syria, Damascus. Let me go face to face with Yazid. Imam Hussain is willing to take that journey even to Damascus, even though he knows this is the headquarters of the shaitan. This is the place and the headquarters of the head of the shaitan, Yazid and his army. Imam Hussain is willing to even go there and sacrifice his life. Why? Because he said, I've been ordered by the Prophet. I can't question the Prophet. I must fulfill the order. Whether I die or don't die, I don't know, but I don't care. But I must fulfill the order of the Prophet. That is number 1. Number 2, either I go back to Damascus. Number 3, if you refuse me to go to Kufa, if you refuse me to go to Damascus, let me go back to Medina. These are, one narration says another suggestion. One narration says, let me go to Yazid and I will speak to him directly. Number 2, send me to jihad. Send me in a foreign land where the Muslims are fighting the kuffar. Let me go there and become a shaheed, and let me fight the non-Muslims, and let me retire. Leave me alone. Send my family back. And if you don't agree with that, let me go back to Medina. Umar bin Sa'd said these are valid reasons. He writes a letter to Ibn Ziyad. The letter comes back to Ibn Ziyad and Ibn Ziyad reads the letter. And Ibn Ziyad says, this is a letter from a sincere man. This is a letter from a, not a man who lies. Ibn Ziyad is about to agree to it. And then there was a man called Shimr. There was a man called Shimr. Shimr had leprosy. He had leprosy. He was a man who had extreme hate for the Prophet's family and the Ahlul Bayt. Shimr turns around to Ibn Ziyad and says, you will allow Hussain to escape you when you have him in your grasp? In your grasp, you have Hussain and you will just let him escape? He says, I swear to you by Allah, O Ibn Ziyad, O Governor, may Allah make you prosperous. If you let Hussain leave here today and you let him escape, he will come back with a greater army and he will kill you. Don't be stupid. Go to Hussain. And he says, what? Ibn Ziyad says, what should I do? Shimr says, send a letter. Tell Hussain to give the allegiance to you. If he agrees to give you allegiance, we will judge him and let him go. If he doesn't kill him, Shimr says this. Ibn Ziyad says, this is sound advice. He wrote a letter In the letter he sends it to Umar bin Sa'ad. He says to Shimr, you take the letter. If Umar bin Sa'ad does not implement it, kill him. Send me his head. And you become the head of the army. Shimr then marches to Umar bin Sa'ad like he has a trophy. He has a trophy of Jahannam with him. You know, this is what their heart is like. He comes to Umar bin Sa'ad, and when he reads the letter and he gives the letter to Umar bin Sa'ad says, Wallahi, I never expected this. I never expected Ibn Ziyad to be cruel. He looks to Shimr. He says, may Allah deprive your mother of you. May Allah's la'na be upon you, Shimr. For I know for Allah you had a part to play in this. I know Ibn Ziyad would have agreed, but it was you. Shimr says, forget all of this talk. Will you implement this? Will you fight him? Or will you want me to kill you and chop your head off? And send your head to Ibn Ziyad. Ibn Ziyad, Umar bin Sa'ad says, no, I will implement this. He writes a letter back and he explains that we will implement this. I will finish off with this point, and I will also, after Salatul of the prayer, I will continue on a few points which is important. Shimr, when he's with Ibn Ziyad, he had 3 nephews, Abbas, Ja'far and Uthman. These were the sons of his sister called al-Banin bint Hazim. She was the wife of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, and she was the sister of Shimr. Shimr writes what? He writes and he asked Ibn Ziyad when he sent the letter to Umar bin Sa'ad, guarantee safety for my family. When he guarantees safety, look at the situation now. Shimr comes in front of Hussein. He shouts and he says, where are the children of my sister? Where is Abbas? Where is Ja'far? Where is Uthman? And they all come out. They say, oh uncle, what do you want? He said, I have guaranteed your safety. If you leave now and you come with me, no one will harm you. No one will? And look what they said. They said, may Allah's curse and la'na be upon you, uncle. They said, may Allah's curse be upon you. They said, you give us a guarantee, but you don't give guarantee to the son of the Prophet. They said, you give us a guarantee, but you don't want to give a guarantee to the son of the Prophet. They said, Wallahi, we will never leave the side of the Prophet's son. They said, following you is Jahannam. If we leave now, we go to hellfire. We prefer to die, and we prefer for our bodies to be cut up in pieces than leaving our brother Hussein. And they refuse to join. And that's when we get to the night of Muharram, the night of the battle. And we will discuss a few things, because now is the time, I think we should do Adhan. And after the Adhan, we will continue on that, inshallah. فَصَلَّى اللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَلَى سَيِّدِنَا مُحَمَّدٍ وَعَلَى آلِهِ وَصَحْبِهِ وَسَلَّمَ. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين, والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Before the break for Salatul Isha, we discussed the issue about Shimr. Shimr came out, and one of the things that he got was a guarantee for his kids. He had nephews, and they were Al-Abbas, Al-Ja'far and Uthman. They were the step-brothers of Imam Hussain. They were the sons of Sayyidina Ali. His wife was a woman called al-Banin bint al-Hazim, or Hizam, so called it. al-Banin bint Hizam. She was the sister of Shimr. So what Shimr did was, when he got a letter from Ibn Ziyad to say, fight Imam Hussain, he also got on the letter that said, I give safeguard guarantee to these 3 people because of Shimr. So when Shimr came on to the plains of Karbala and said to his nephews, he says, join me. All 3 of their nephews said, we would prefer death than joining you. They said, may Allah's curse be upon you, uncle. They said, you give us guarantee of safety, but you gave no safety to the Prophet of the son to the Prophet of Allah. And they were willing to what? They said, our safety is of no purpose. If it means we fall, if it means we fight, we will fight. At this moment, this was on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. Sorry, 9th of Muharram, not Dhul Hijjah, sorry. The 9th of Muharram, when this incident happened. At this moment, Imam Hussain is in his tent, and it's towards the evening time. And the narration says Imam Hussain radiallahu anhu, he falls asleep. When he falls asleep, Zainab salamullah alayha, his sister, she sees the army coming forward to attack them. Umar bin Sa'ad gives the signal to fight. She rushes to Imam al-Hussain and she says, "Wake up, oh my brother, they are coming." Imam Hussain wakes and he smiles. He smiles immediately to his sister and he looks to her and he says to his sister, he says, "Oh my sister, I had a dream of Rasulullah. I've just seen the Prophet in my dream, and the Prophet said, oh Hussain, tomorrow you will be with us." He turns to, the army is coming to attack him. He knows the army is coming. He has no concern. He doesn't care. What he says to his, this is the adab he has for the Prophet. This is the respect he had. He said to his sister, he says, "Don't worry about the army. I had a dream, and the dream said what? The dream said, I will be." Rasulullah said, "Oh Hussain, my son, you will be with me tomorrow. You will join me tomorrow, don't worry." And one narration says what? Throughout the whole atrocities of Karbala, the witness to Karbala was the Prophet himself sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is why the narration says, Salma says, salamullah alayha, the wife of the Prophet, that when the day of Karbala, Al-Ashura happened, when Al-Hussain was martyred, she says what? She said, "I saw a dream and I saw the Prophet upset." I said, "Ya Rasulullah, why are you upset?" He said, "I just witnessed Karbala." So the ulama said, based on this, the biggest witness Imam Hussain will have on the day of judgment will be Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he stands up against the tyrants. When this incident happens, Zainab, she cannot take it, because she is the sister of Imam Hussain. When she hears that message that Hussain is saying that tomorrow I will leave you and be, she begins to cry and she begins to hate herself. She then takes her dress and she rips it. She says, "May I never be born. I wish Allah never made me alive." She says, one narration, she says, "I wish I was never alive to see this day to the Hussain." Imam Hussain turns to his sister and says, "Fear Allah, my sister. Where is your sabr? Inna Allah ma'as sabirin." He says, "We are those people. We are the sabirin." He says, "Don't you have patience in front of Allah?" He says, "Don't you know?" He's reminding Zainab, "Who are you, Zainab? You are the daughter and you are the honor of Ali. You are the daughter of Fatima Zahra. You are the granddaughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Have some type of sabr, patience." And when this happens, Al-Abbas bin Ali, his brother, he shouts to Imam al-Hussain and he says, "Oh Imam, they are coming." Imam Hussain says to him, "Take your brothers." And this is what he says to Abbas ibn Ali. He says, "May I be sacrificed for you, Al-Abbas. May my life be sacrificed for you. For there is no life but a life of having a brother like you." There were stepbrothers, they were not any brother. There were stepbrothers. How? They had a different mother but the same father, Sayyidina Ali. And these were the three people that said to Shimar, "May Allah's curse be upon you. We don't want your safety. We want to have the safety of the Prophet." Imam Hussain says, "Go out and march. March yourselves and travel and visit Umar bin Sa'ad and ask Umar bin Sa'ad what he wants. Speak to him. And if you go to him, then come back to me." Al-Abbas takes 20 men and he arrives to Umar bin Sa'ad and he says, "Oh son of Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas," he's trying to remind him. He says, "Who was your father and look what you are doing." He says, "Oh wicked man, may Allah's curse be on you." He says, "Are you going to violate the son of your prophet?" Look what he said. "Are you violating the right of Hussain, the son of Fatima, who is the daughter of your prophet?" He's trying to remind them, do you believe in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? If you do, have some type of haya. He says, "What do you want?" He says, "We have come to fight. Either you go to Hussain and tell Hussain to give the allegiance to Ibn Ziyad, agree and come with me and go to Ibn Ziyad in Kufa. Give the allegiance to Ibn Ziyad, and then your matter and your fate will be up to Ibn Ziyad. I've done my job. But if you refuse, I will have to fight and kill you. Tell this message." Al-Abbas says to him, "Wait here, let me go to Hussain. Let me go to him." He runs and he gallops quickly on his horse And he goes to Imam Hussain and he says to Imam Hussain, he says, they want to fight us. Imam Hussain says, even in this time they want my blood. He says, even if I was buried in the ground, they will still want my blood for who I am, the son of Ali. Imam Hussain says, I know for sure they will violate us. I know for sure tomorrow they will not leave us. Tomorrow will be a day of sacrifice. He says, go back to Umar bin Sa'ad and tell him, don't attack us tonight, give us till the morning. We will make the decision tomorrow. Imam Hussain played a tactical game. Give us the night. Tomorrow we will make a decision whether we will give bay'ah or not, or what we agree. Abbas goes back to Umar bin Sa'ad and tells him, he says, fine, we give you till tomorrow, Salatul Fajr. He comes back to Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain then says what? He says, Wallahi, I only sought the night so I could pray to Allah. He says, I knew I was, I never sought that time. I never wanted to delay my sacrifice. The only reason I wanted to delay so that we could pray to Allah to seek His forgiveness. So that when the time is ready, we are ready. That is the only reason. Imam Hussain then gathers all of his people together. He gathers his family. He gathers the people with him, up to 82 people, some narration says. Not more than 88 in full in narration says. Some narrations say 82, some say 86, some say 90, but really it's less than 90, no more than 88. He gathers all of them and he looks at them and he praises Allah. After praising Allah, he says, praise is due to Allah who gave us the Prophet and allowed me to be born in the house of the Prophet. There you go. He's still praising the Prophet. He turns to them and says to them, he says, there's no loyalty, more loyalty, there's no greater loyalty than the greater loyalty of people like you. There is no blood that has better relationship than your blood. There is no family greater than your family today. We are united and you have supported me from day one. He says, you have supported me and you have there's no better followers than you. You have supported me from thick to thin. Whatever tribulation I went through, you were there. He says to the people, look at the beauty now, what he says, Imam Hussain. He says, leave now at night. Don't sacrifice your life for me. He says, I don't want you to kill yourselves for me. He says, at night, under the disguise of the night, run away and leave me. For Allah, they only want my blood, they don't want your blood. If I sacrifice myself, I prefer one person rather than all of you being sacrificed. At night time, take a disguise and leave. All of them say what? They say, we swear by Allah, we will never leave you, Hussain. And then there was Sa'ad bin Abdullah. Sa'ad bin Abdullah, one of his students, one of the supporters of the Ahlul Bayt. He stands up, RadiAllahu Anhu, Ramadhan, he says, I swear by Allah, who sent the truth to your grandfather. Look at the iman of these people. He says, I swear by Allah, who sent the truth, the religion of Haqq, through your grandfather. He says, I swear to Imam Hussain that if Allah was to allow me to stand by you and I was to die and then I was to be made alive again, I was given alive again, I died and I become alive again, then they burnt me and they scattered my ashes everywhere. Even if they did it 70 times, I will never leave your side. Look at the iman of these people. And Zuhair bin Qais, Zuhair is one of the great fighters of Imam Hussain. You'll find out how courageous he is. One single man, he turns to Imam Hussain and he says, oh Imam, he says, if I was to die 1,000 times, I would prefer dying 1,000 times and each time dying defending you. He says, there's no other purpose to live apart from living with you. Imam Hussain then says to the people, he says, don't do this. Oh sons of Aqil, leave. Oh my nephews, go. Isn't it enough that we lost Muslim bin Aqil? He says, I can't take the pain of losing you. Imam Hussain said, go back to Makkah, go back to Medina. Leave me. All of his nephews said, they said it will be disgrace for us to listen. They said, how are we to show our face to the people, to say to the people, we went with Hussain and then when it came to the battle we abandoned him and left him. They said, how is it on the day of judgment that when we face Rasulullah, that we go in front of him sallallahu alaihi wasallam and we said, Ya Rasulullah, we stood with your son, we marched to Karbala, but when it came to the peak, we left him. They said, we will not do this, oh uncle. They said, oh uncle, there is no life without you. They said, life is for you and death is for you. They said, how can you tell us to leave you? How can we have life even after you? They said, there will be no purpose for us to live. We would prefer to be sacrificed in front of you so that you can witness and you can say to your grandfather that we supported and fought for you. This is the Iman. When this incident happens, Imam Hussain says to them, go and tie the tents and bring them together so that they do not attack us at night. Imam Hussain then sits, and with him is the slave of Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, RadiAllahu Anhu, one of the great Sahabi. He is amongst those Sahaba who was the followers of Sayyidina Ali, one of the murids of Sayyidina Ali. Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, Salman al-Farsi, Amr bin Yasir, Khabab bin Arad. All these are the great Sahaba that supported Sayyidina Ali, his murids, his students. All of them were present when Fatima al-Zahra passed away. All of them were present at the funeral of Fatima al-Zahra. All of them were present at the burial of Fatima al-Zahra. Yet we know when she was buried at night time, radiyallahu wassalamu alayha. Imam Hussain sits and he's overcome with emotions, and he then starts to read poetry. And the poetry is basically saying that time has come for me to leave this world. And Ali bin Hussain bin Ali, Imam Zain al-Abidin I'm referring to now. Imam Zain al-Abidin is sick. He was the one who was saved on the battle of Karbala. And because of him, we now have the Ahlul Bayt. All the Ahlul Bayt who are Hussaini Sadat are from the family of Imam Zain al-Abidin. All of them are from his family, from the Hussaini side. He says, I'm lying down and I'm sleeping, I'm pretending to sleep. He says, my auntie Zainab, my puppy Mubarak, with his auntie, she's treating and nursing me. He says, I hear my father say some poetry. He says it once, he says it the second time, he says it a third time. When he says it the third time, Imam Zain al-Abidin says, I begin to cry. He says, I realize what my father is saying. My father is saying, I'm leaving this world. He says, I have sabr because I'm a man. He says, my auntie Zainab doesn't have sabr. Zainab, when she hears this, when she hears that Imam Hussain says this, she stands up and she says, woe to you, O Hussain. She says, woe to you, Hussain. What are you saying? That you will leave me tomorrow? She said, I wish I was never born on this day. I was alive on this day. She says, I wish I was not even born ever. She says, I wish death came to me, that I never witnessed this day where my brother would be taken away from me. That is what you call real love of a sister. Real brotherly, sisterly love. She turns to him and she's crying, and she's hitting herself, and she's hitting her face, and she now takes her dress and she's ripping it. She's overcome with emotions. She says, she turns to Hussain and she says, what? She says, you want to leave me now? She said, Rasulullah left me. She says, Fatima, my mother is dead. Ali, my father is dead. Hassan, my brother is dead. Now you will leave me? She says, who will be my guardian? Who will protect me? Who will look after me? Who will look after the women of the Ahlul Bayt when you go? She's crying immensely. And she becomes so overwhelmed that she fainted. Imam Hussain goes to her and he puts water on her beautiful face. He says, oh my sister, fear Allah. He says, oh my sister, have patience. He said, oh my sister, the messenger of Allah has gone. Fatima, your mother and my mother has passed away. Our father Ali has passed away. Our brother Hassan has passed away. I will leave. He says death will come to all of us. She says everything will be destroyed except the wajh of Allah. The domination of only Allah will be left. Allah will destroy everything. He says to his sister, he says, don't you think death will come to you, my sister? Why are you crying? He turns to his sister and says what? Look at the beauty of Imam Hussain reconciling his sister. He says, oh my sister, your father and my father was greater than me. Ali was greater than me and he died. Fatima, our mother, is greater than me and she died. Al-Hassan is my brother and he was greater than me and he died. So if these were greater and they died, who am I? I'm only a subject of Allah, and I'm only a servant of Allah who has a few days on this earth, and as each day goes, I go with it. He says, I will leave this world. He says, do you think this world is forever? He says, but promise me one thing, my sister. He says, tomorrow when you see my destruction, when you see them attacking and killing me, and looting me, and murdering me, you know they want my blood. He says, don't scratch your faces. Don't scream and don't cry. He says, have patience and have sabr with Allah. For Allah is the one who rewards the ma'as-sabirin. His reward, look at the incident. And Zainab cannot take it. Zainab stands and she leaves the tent. This is the love that these people had for Imam Hussain. That even towards the end moment, towards the last moment of their death, that they were willing to sacrifice their own life, they were willing to give it up for Imam Hussain. And this signifies what? This re-establishes what Imam Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari says in his Al-Maqalat al-Islamiyyin. Imam Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari says, it's a very famous book. He says it is the first ever book written on all the firqas of Islam by Imam al-Ash'ari. And al-Ash'ari is the founder of the Ash'ari school of theology. He says what? He says the greatest catastrophe to ever befall man was the catastrophe of Karbala. That less than 51 years after the Prophet ﷺ passed away, his nation was willing to kill his only son. For what purpose? For the purpose of dunya. So these are the tribulations that the Ahlul Bayt went through. And tomorrow we will discuss in more detail, because tomorrow we're at the battle, we will cover the whole battle inshallah tomorrow. But what did we learn? We learned the sacrifices of these people, these imams, these people for 8 days. This is the 8th day, I think. 8th day today? Today is 8 days we have been going through that journey. And we've only touched the surface. It shows you the depth of information. It shows you the sacrifice of these people. Imam Hussein's sacrifice was for what reason? To revive Islam. And that is why you learned that from that moment, what did Imam Hussain say? One of the things he says to them, he said, if you kill me, bloodshed will be open. From that moment until this day, the Muslim Ummah has been killing each other day and night. Muslims been fighting each other. Why? Because when you kill someone like Hussain, the son of the Prophet, of such greatness, the one who used to suck on the tongue of the Prophet, the one who used to jump on his back, the one that used to jump on his honorable head. No Sahaba ever attacked, none of the Sahaba ever dared to do that. None of the Sahaba. You know, Abu Bakr is the one who the Prophet stood on. Abu Bakr is the one who the Prophet, but Hussain is the one who stood on the Prophet. Abu Bakr is the one who the Prophet stood on when he went to Ghar Thawr, when he went into in different places. But Al-Hussain and Hassanain Karimain are those who used to stand and jump on the Prophet. They used to laugh and love the Prophet. Whenever the Prophet saw him, he used to be happy. And one narration says what? It says it was night time and the Prophet said, you need to go home now, go to your house, go to the house of your mother. And Jabir bin Abdullah said, Ya Rasulullah, should I take them? It's night time. He says, you don't need to. Immediately a light came from the skies onto Hussain and took him all the way back to his house. So this is who. So when you have people that say, Ma'adallahu ta'ala, that Imam Hussain was wrong, you know, you need to search. You need to have some type of taqwa for Allah. You need to have some type of fear. Do you have, can you imagine you standing on Yawm al-Qiyamah, going to the Prophet and saying, give me from Al-Kawthar, Al-Hawd al-Kawthar. What is the hadith? The hadith says that when you come to Al-Kawthar, who will be giving you water? Well, it's not water, it's a special drink. The Prophet will not be giving it, will be Sayyidina Ali. The narration says Sayyidina Ali will be the distributor of Al-Kawthar. on the day of judgment. And when he's giving you this distribution, when he's giving you this thing, how will you face the Prophet and say, I am the one who killed Hussein? I am the one who agreed to the killing of Hussein. I am the one who supported and said, Yazeed is a good man. You need to fear Allah. Because on one side you have Yazeed, and one side you have Hussein. You have to make your decision. And I finish off with one final hadith. What did the Prophet say? Hadith of Sahih. The hadith says on Yawm al-Qiyamah, you will be entering into Jannah. You will be entering into the angels. You will be going over the Sirat to walk to Jannah. The angels will call you back then. And the angel will say, come back. We forgot to ask you one question. And then the angel will say, what was your belief about Ali? Hubbi Ali is Iman. And Bughzi Ali is Nifaq. The Prophet, on the day of judgment, no Sahabi will be mentioned. Ridwanallahu alayhim ajma'in. No Ahlul Bayt, not Hussain, not Hassan, not Fatima, no one. The only person the angels will question is about your love for Ali. And they will say, did you love Ali? And if you have hatred for Ali, it's hellfire. That is why Imam Ibn Hajar says, the criterion of Jannah and hell is Ali. If you want to enter Jannah, it is Ali. If you want to enter Jahannam, it is Ali. That is why we must re-evaluate ourselves and revive the love of the Ahlul Bayt in us. Revive the love of the Sahaba. But the Ahlul Bayt is extremely important. It comes even before the Sahaba. Before the love of the Sahaba, it is paramount to love the Prophet's family first and foremost. And we must love that. And may Allah give us tawfiq to follow in the footsteps of these honorable people. Do we have any questions at all? Because those people were not willing to physically kill Imam Hussain. They were not willing to have any physical type of attack. These people were not willing to have a fight with Imam Hussain when he left Makkah. The order to Amr bin Sa'd was to apprehend him, not to kill him, not to fight him, not to abuse him. So only a few of his people had a physical fight, one-to-one combat. But when Imam Hussain ran them, were more stronger than them, they let them go because they couldn't fight with swords. They were not, the order they had was to stop Imam Hussain, don't let him leave. But they were not allowed to kill him. And remember, in their days you follow the order of the governor. Does that make sense? Yes, brother. Hur bin Yazeed, yes. That will be tomorrow, inshallah. And you will love that story. Hur bin Yazeed is an amazing man. When you read it, when you hear his story of how he changes and how he comes to Imam Hussain, supporting him, it reignites in you the love of how these people viewed Islam. So inshallah, that will be tomorrow, inshallah. Yes, the narration is the uprising was on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. Muslim bin Aqil, if I'm correct, was martyred on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. On the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, the uprising, that is when Imam Hussain left Makkah. Okay? And the letter got to Imam Hussain at Thalabiyah, which is an area not far from outside Makkah al-Mukarramah. It's towards the end, towards going to Syria. Sorry, going towards Iraq. So their army came, the messenger came towards Imam Hussain to give the message, and that is when the news got to him. One narration says the letter got to Imam Hussain. One narration says Imam Hussain never got the letter, and what happened was there was some people from Banu Sa'id or Sa'ida, one said Banu Adi. These two people were accompanying Imam Hussain on the way of the journey, but they kept behind, they kept a distance, and what they wanted to do was just analyze what was happening and the situation that was taking place. Then a man came from Kufa who ignored Imam Hussain. They then ran up to them, this is the most authentic narration, and said to them, or said to the man, where are you from? They greeted each other. The man said, I'm from Kufa. Then they asked, what is the news from Kufa? Then they were told Muslim bin Aqil was martyred. So the one narration says the letter got there, which Ibn Kathir says has no value. It says the authenticity of that isn't as strong. Ibn Athir says that the first time that Imam Hussain found out about Muslim bin Aqil being martyred was from this man. One narration says he received the letter, which is B, and the other narration says the letter never got to him. But the information that got to Imam Hussain was from these messages. That this is what happened.
Had you already left?
Yes, he had left.
Without the letter?
The only letter he had was the letter of saying to come to Kufa from Masjid bin Aqil.
You got that?
So there's two letters. Let me we confuse each other. The one letter is the invitation from Muslim bin Aqil saying everything is okay in Kufa. Come to Kufa. That is the letter Imam Hussain got. The other letter that was written when he was about to be shaheed, Muslim bin Aqil, one narration says he got it. The second narration says that the letter never got that, but a person came from Kufa and he was the one that told Imam Hussain at Thalabiyah. He was the one that told Imam that your cousin has passed away, and that is when Imam continued. It would have been nice because maybe next time if you had a projector I could show you the map, because I have a copy of the map which shows you all of the cities. So when you say it, and then I have a map which is in the Ibn Athir mentions it. Some Ottomans have a picture of how the battle was like. So there's a photo of like a picture of how they were positioned. So you can understand it a bit better. But inshallah in the future, once we come a bit innovative. I have it on my laptop if you want to see it afterwards, inshallah. I can show you the picture of how the armies were set. Anything else? Tom? In overview, the view that I follow of my teachers is every single person that took part in the battle of Karbala became a kafir. Anyone that killed Imam Hussain became a non-Muslim. Anyone that supported the killing of Hussain became a non-Muslim. Anyone who was razi upon it, he's a non-Muslim. All of this is the view of Imam Taftazani. Imam Sa'd Taftazani rahmatullahi alayhi in his Sharh al-Aqaid, which I read to you the other day, which is a very famous text. It's not a small text, it's the final text we study in the Siyad. It's a very senior Imam. Imam Sa'd Taftazani says, all of those people that participated, he said, the view is what? He says the view is that the people who murdered Hussain RadiAllahu Anhu are all non-Muslims. And then he says the ones who murdered him are non-Muslims. The ones who participated in the war are non-Muslims. The ones that supported the idea are non-Muslims. The ones that were razi, were accepted upon it, all of those are non-Muslims. And then he says, فَنَحْنُ, what is our view now? He's giving you his final view. He says, فَنَحْنُ لَا نَتَوَقُّفُ, we do not keep silent upon what happened to Hussain. فَنَحْنُ لَا نَتَوَقُّفُ فِي شَانِهِ, بل في إيمانه لعنة الله عليه وأنصاره وعوانه. These are the exact quotation of Imam Taftazani al-Rahmatullah alayhi. He says, we do not keep silent on what Yazid did. And remember when he said Yazid, he's not only speaking about Yazid, because the line prior, he said all of them are non-Muslims. So he's continuing, but he's just using Yazid's name. He says, we do not keep silent upon the crimes of Yazid, of what he did, nor do we keep silent about his iman. He's not even a Muslim. La'natullahu alayhi. May Allah's curse be upon him. May Allah's curse be upon his La'natullahu alayhi wa ansarihi. Allah's curse be upon his supporters. Wa awanihi. Awani is his people, the people that were with him. All of them are cursed, and all of them will go Jannah. You know, if, look at this point. Shaykh al-Quran Abdul Ghaffur Hazali Rahmatullah alayhi, who is a great giant Imam of Pakistan, one of the great scholars of the subcontinent. Someone came to him and said to him, is Yazid a kafir? And he said, what, Yazid a kafir? He said, let me tell you this one. He says the one who hit the Prophet physically was Abu Jahl and Abu Lahab. If Abu Jahl and Abu Lahab could become a non-Muslim for physically hitting the Prophet, what about the one who hurt the Prophet's heart? He said, what about that man who hurt the Prophet's heart? And some people then say, what? Some people, ma'adallahu ta'ala, say, hey, Imam Abu Hanifa did sukut. A'udhu billah. That Imam Abu Hanifa kept quiet. Bilkul chut baat hai. Imam Sahib never kept quiet on this point. What is this narration? This is from Fiqh al-Akbar. They say in Fiqh al-Akbar, Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi said that we keep silent on the kufr of Yazid. Imam Sahib never said that. First of all, Fiqh al-Akbar was never written by Imam Abu Hanifa. There's no proof that he wrote that book. Number one. Number two, if you look at Imam Abu Hanifa's fatwa at his time and look at what he said, it totally contradicts what he said. Let me give you one example quickly. Imam Abu Hanifa was a murid of who? During his time, he was a murid of Imam Zayd bin Ali. Imam Zayd. Who is Zayd? Zayd is from the Ahlul Bayt. Imam Abu Hanifa gave a fatwa during his time when he was an old man. He says anyone to fight with Imam Zayd for one day, fighting with him is like fighting one day with the Prophet in Badr. That's what Imam Abu Hanifa said. Imam Abu Hanifa gave a clear-cut fatwa against the government of his time that was anti-Yazid. They weren't supporters of Yazid. Banu Abbasid, they were not the supporters. The Abbasid period were not the supporters of that. If Imam Abu Hanifa could give such a detrimental fatwa against the government of his time, to say that we launched jihad against him, and this is the reason why Abu Hanifa was killed and poisoned in prison. If this is the reason why Imam Abu Hanifa did this, why would Abu Hanifa keep quiet on Yazid? It doesn't make sense. It contradicts the reality, because the government is anti-Yazid. Banu Abbasid do not like Yazid. What is the first period? Banu Umayyah. The first period is the Umayyah period. After the Umayyah period is Banu Abbas, the Abbasid period of leadership. The Abbasid and what were the common denominators with both of them? Both of them hated Ahlul Bayt. The Abbasid hated Ahlul Bayt and Banu Umayyah hated Ahlul Bayt. But what's the difference? The difference was the Abbasids hated the Umayyads. They both hated each other and they used to curse each other. So Imam Abu Hanifa had every right that if he gave a fatwa against the Umayyah, no one would say anything to him. But if he then gave a fatwa and said what? That fighting one day jihad with Imam Zayd bin Ali RadiAllahu Anhu is equivalent to fighting one day in Badr. And that wasn't just Imam Abu Hanifa's tea, that was Imam Abu Hanifa's Pir Murshid. Imam Zayd bin Ali was his Shaykh of Tariqat. And Imam Abu Hanifa said to him, take this dirham from me as a gift. Forgive, I cannot fight jihad with you. Not because I'm an old man, simply because I have the amana of too many people. So people use Imam Abu Hanifa, a'udhu billah, to say he was quiet. Imam Ibn al-Jawzi wrote a book proving the cursing and proving the kufr of Yazid. Hafiz Ibn Jawzi is a great Imam. It's about 90 pages in Arabic. I can show you, I have it here on my laptop, and you can take a copy and you can show it to anyone that reads Arabic. He can read it to you. Imam Ibn Jawzi in that book quotes chains of transmission back to the 4 Imams, and all 4 Imams agreed in the Kufr of Yazid. I think that's it.